Good morning, kids. How are you today? Have you stayed warm? Did we get a lot of snow or what? We did. Have you gotten to play in the snow? Remember, when you go out and play in the snow, you want to bundle up real good with your hands and your feet so you don't get cold, but have fun. Today, we're going to talk about Daniel. Now, Daniel is in the Bible, and if you go to Daniel chapter 6, you will get the story that we're going to tell now. It is in the Bible, so that means what? It's a true story. You're right. Well, Daniel was, the Jewish people had been taken to Persia, and they were there, and Daniel worked for the king, and his name was King Darius. And King Darius really liked Daniel. So they had what we would call our governors in our country. They had 120 governors that was governing throughout their country. And then they had 3 administrators, and these administrators were over the governors to make sure they did everything right and they did what the king expected of them. Now, Daniel, even though he was a Jewish man, King Darius liked him so much that he made him one of the 3 administrators. Well, the governors and the other 2 administrators did not like that at all, because he was not of their heritage. That means like they were Persians, he was a Jewish person. So they didn't like it, so they got together and they thought, I think what we're going to do, we're going to think of something we can do to get him in trouble. So they thought about it and they went to the king and they said to the king, for the next 30 days, we think you ought to tell everybody that lives in our country that they cannot pray to anybody but you. Is that a good idea? Well, the king says, yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea. And they said, okay, so the king made it a law. Well, when the king makes it a law, that means nobody can break that. Once it's made, even the king has to abide by this law. So then they started watching Daniel. Well, every day Daniel would go up into his little room, and his window faced the east, which meant it faced Jerusalem, where his home country was. So every day he would go up into his room 3 times a day, and he would get on his knees and he would pray to God. Well, they caught him praying to God, and they went to the king and they said, you made it a law. Well, King Darius was very sad because he liked Daniel so much. So he went to Daniel and he said, I'm so sorry, but this is what I said and this is what I must do. So he said, Daniel, I'm going to throw you into the den of the lions. And he said, please, Daniel, pray. Pray to your God to save you. And Daniel said, I will. So they took Daniel and they threw him in the lion's den, and then they took a stone and they put it in front of the hole so Daniel couldn't get out. And then the king put wax on the stone, and he put his ring in that wax. And then he had the other people that were the leaders do the same thing and put their ring on there, so that if the seal got broken, they would know somebody opened the hole, right? Well, all night long, the king was so sad and so beside himself about this that he wouldn't eat, he wouldn't let anybody entertain him, he didn't do anything. all he did was sat in his room and worried about Daniel. He couldn't even sleep. And the very next morning, just as soon as it was time to open to roll the stone away, the king went right there and he rolled the stone away, and there stood Daniel. And he said, "Daniel, you're alive. Your king, your God saved you." And Daniel said that God took the lions' mouths and shut their mouths, so they couldn't open their mouths and hurt Daniel. And the king was so happy because he loved Daniel that much. But do you know what he did to the mean people that did that to Daniel? He threw them into the lion's den. Now, this story is important because this story is telling us that as long as we trust God with all of our hearts, we trust God, he will take care of us. Now, it may not be the way we think it should be. It's the way God thinks we should be taken care of. And he will always take care of us as long as we love him and we trust in him. Now, I want you to see our craft for the day. Here it is. This is our lion's mask. Isn't it a cool mask? Now, all you have to do is take a paper plate and you cut it out. You cut out the center, see, like that, just the center. And then I want you to take the papers like these and you roll them on a pencil. And then you glue them on. And to make the nose, you can just have mom or dad take a little, like a pencil, eyebrow pencil, and make a little nose with whiskers on it. But there's your nose, and here's your lion's mane. Isn't that cool? And then you have a stick to hold it up with. Now, I want you guys to make one of these, and I want you to put it, send a picture to Dennis, because we really want to see our beautiful lions, don't we? Okay, let's all bow our heads, close our eyes, and fold our hands. It's time to pray. Dear Heavenly Jesus, I thank you for watching over us this last week when we had all of this snow. I thank you for watching over the children, for loving them, for keeping them safe. I ask that you please help us this next week to be careful in everything we do, to listen to God when he talks to us, because God does talk to us. If we will listen, we will hear his voice. So I ask that you please help us to listen for God's voice this week and to obey God, to obey our parents, and to obey our teachers, because they all love us and they all just want to keep us safe. It's been a snowy year, and it's been a lot of cold. And as long as we listen, we'll be safe. We ask that you just keep us all in your thoughts, and that you just take care of us. Help us to remember to listen to you, to obey you, not to tell lies, but to always tell the truth. In your name I pray. Amen. You kids have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. But don't forget, send in our masks, because I am excited to see these, okay? Okay, bye-bye.